for Choinière, keeps himself onside. David Choinière! David does it again! Choinière in the clutch! This is his MO! Danger's not gone, it's Forges. Goes through the legs of Dan Compton, goes to ground, point to the spot, penalty for Forge. Near the touchline, two-step overs and round Rama, the cross, Bevan! Game on! Meyer Bevan cuts the deficit in half! Forge, again, inevitable. A fourth consecutive Canadian Premier League final is headed their way.
Hello and welcome to this playoff edition of this newsroom. Christian Jack alongside Charlie O'Connor-Clark. On today's show, we recap both legs of the CPL semifinals. We'll hear from all four coaches, many of the players, and of course, as usual, the return of some World Cup stickers. If you're joining us live, please put all your comments and questions in the chat. We'll also get to them over the next hour. We also have a final to preview, Charlie. That's right. Next Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern, live from Ottawa, live on One Soccer. Atlético Ottawa will take on Forge. We've just heard there the hype. Credit by our editor Adam Del Bianco for that one. And also credit another Adam, by the way, just listening to that. How good is Adam Jenkins?
Good call.
It's like some great calls. And that young man has some big-time broadcasting awards in his future. No doubt about it. That's a brilliant call. And great to see Adam at the stadium. Just makes a massive difference when you're doing those calls from the stadium. He did a great job. Charlie, you and I were separated. We will be back together this weekend, but we've been separated a lot. You've been on the road, as have I. We've been taking care of two semifinals in two different places. But I suppose before we recap, let's look ahead. I guess it's the two best teams, no, according to the league table ahead of this final. What were your overall thoughts coming out of the semis?
Yeah. The top two teams in the regular season are the two teams in the final, and there's no real arguing that it's the two worthy, advancers from those two semifinals. I think they were close. All four teams they certainly did themselves proud for the most part. So I think that we had two really exciting semifinals. There was no shortage of insanity and drama and all that you really want from knockout football.
Yeah.
And just two quality teams are going to go at it in a final that's sure to be an incredible event, incredible moment for this league, I think, as well.
Yeah, exactly. Two semifinals that, by the way, kept the emotion going. Even the one, we'll get to yours in the second half of the show in Ottawa, but Pacific played their part, and every credit. This was not this was not done at semifinal. That was a rudimentary semifinal. And then, of course, the Cavalry Forge one that literally took 180 minutes plus until we knew that final whistle that we didn't know who was going to go through. And that's all you can ask for. Let's bring in our guys as we recap the game in Hamilton. Mitchell Tierney, our correspondent at CanPL.ca, AGR. A man who goes to many games was there as well. I didn't get to see AGR. We were both in different places, but we were both in the same stadium. Alex, Mitchell, great to see you. Mitch, let's start with you. Let's roll these highlights. I guess just a special game to be at for Canadian soccer fans, and great drama. One we're all pretty lucky to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, two sides incapable of playing a boring game, I think, at this point. Right. They were, very much up for the drama, and this one, both sides sending offs, as you will see in short notice, and a match where both game plans kind of could have gone out the window when the sides went down to 10 men each. But I thought Forge, with their experience and their tactical flexibility, just kind of dealt with the adversity a little bit better and just continued to overload that right flank. And here's finally their moment. They were able to create from that with David Choinière scoring, if you're watching on the YouTube. And then having, overloaded that right flank, that gives them the ability to create 1v1 situations for Tristan Borges down the left flank. And he's able to win a penalty there that Wubens Pacias converts. So, I mean, credit to Forge, losing a very, very important player. Let's not forget, and their captain and the center of their midfield, Kyle Becker, they're able to recover and continue. But, credit Cavalry as well. They were in it till the very end. Tommy Wilden Jr. said he maybe made some of his tactical shifts a little bit late, but they had plenty of pressure. And like you said, we did not know until that final whistle if there was going to be one more twist in a game that had a billion of them.
Yeah, so many great stories. I feel like a bit of a game show host here. Our next question for you, AGR. But like when you go on a game show, like, and there's so many different topics you can pick, and you got to pick which one. I feel like this game had so many different major headlines. Was it Forge's attack finally igniting? Forge showing leadership without Becker as Schwanier and Borges step up in big moments. Cavalry can't turn the screw when Forge go down to 10 and get them on the ropes. So many different things here. You pick one. What was your over as you took, you left the steps out of Tim Hortons Field last night? What was the overriding big emotion for you to take out the game?
Well, other than, I guess, drama and everything that went on, it was a very intriguing tactical battle. I think that was one thing that Mitch and I had conversations about up in the press box. I just found it fascinating how both teams adjusted from the first leg. That was kind of the intriguing thing, how in that first leg, it was such a battle in midfield. It was so tightly contested, maybe partly due to the more congested nature of Atco Field. And you come to this huge spread out Tim Hortons Field, and then Cavalry tried to tweak things in the middle, and it didn't necessarily work for them. And then Forge on their end, obviously they targeted that right side matchup, and then they also got things done in the midfield. I think it was no coincidence, for example, that it's Alessandro Hojiapapur who's picking that ball out from midfield to that right flank. They obviously targeted those two areas at halftime and before the game, and I just thought those sort of tactical nuances that can continue to shift, continue to adjust, is what makes these matchups so fascinating, because Bobby Smirnotis, Tommy Wheeldon Jr., such bright soccer minds, and you can really see it every time they take the field together.
Yeah, great point. Thomas in the chat said he feels like it had to be Borges and Schwanier stepping up when Becker got the red card. Borges' penalty, a crucial moment. We're going to hear from Tristan Borges in a second, but Charlie, let's lean on you, because I feel like often you're our David Schwanier correspondent. You've been around this league longer than any of us. This guy,
Very big compliment.
What about big games? A big game moment, right? Again, and can we talk about the finish, because the way he wrapped his boot around it ensured it just got past Carducci. Some people would say Carducci perhaps should have saved it. I mean, he put it in a corner where it'd be very difficult to stop. And maybe, just maybe, I don't know if Carducci had in his mind that Schwanier scored against him at the near post just a month earlier, and maybe that's affected his footwork as well. But what about Schwanier? 20 minutes to go, a 0-0 game, chance to go in the final, and he puts a performance and a goal like that.
Yeah, it just keeps happening. And we've said this before, that this keeps happening with David Schwanier. And first of all, you're right about the finish. Like, I think it's one where you can't really pick which side he's going to go towards. If you're Carducci and you cheat towards one of those, then you look even sillier if he scores on the other side, right? And I think Bobby spoke about it after the match, that he's seen David Schwanier score from that exact position so many times in training. And just to see him do it in a game is at least to Bobby, was unsurprising. But this is a guy who has stepped up pretty much on every stage for Forge. He scored at the Azteca for them. He scored in CONCACAF League pretty much every time they've really needed a goal. He scored to win them their first championship, and obviously now he's scored to give them a chance to go for a third one. He's just a remarkable player who, again, sometimes he has to fight for his position in the side, but he always seems to win it back, right? And when things get tough, no matter how deep Forge's attack is, no matter how many attackers they have on that bench in that squad, it always seems to come down to his foot, and he's always the one who manages to step up when called upon. So I think you can't really give a bigger compliment to a player, can you?
No, you really can't. And yeah, you're right. He has to play. He has to play. They win different tactics. They even played fullbacks at back five in that last game at home against Halifax, and he was on the bench. But you just know that he's the kind of man you can rely on to make a difference in those key moments. I know how popular World Cup stickers are in the show. You guys all got them. AGR, you still got some stickers? You guys all got your sticker. There you are. All right, you guys can open a pack of stickers. And in the meantime, let's go back to Tim Hortons Field and speak to another Maverick and another difference maker. Here's my chat after this one with Tristan Borges.
Joined by Tristan Borges. Your team has made a fourth final in 4 years. I saw you come off near the end and you were begging, you were praying to the Lord above, please, you got it done. What's the feeling like?
It's hard to explain. Honestly, I'm beyond excited. I'm so happy with the guys. It's like I said, we've always been through a lot of ups and downs, but for a group of guys, especially the core, to have new guys bring them in and for them to have such a big impact, and for us to go to another finals, it's hard to explain. But we know at the end of the day, the job's not done, right? We want to win, but we knew against them it was definitely going to be until the 90th minute. You never know what could happen, and as you can see, 2 red cards in one half. I mean, it's a lot to accept and just understand what happened, but we got it done.
the job's not done, but the way you celebrated afterwards was a little bit extra special, no? You could sense that there's a big relief. You got past the big giant here.
Yeah, I think, everybody knows I would say, rivalry that we would have with them, and just, the intensity that every game, every time that we play them, it brings, right? And it's tough, right? Obviously, the job's not done, but, we still have to celebrate getting into another finals, right? It's still an accomplishment that we have to, be proud of, and I know everybody here is just waiting for another week so we can celebrate and try to lift that trophy again.
4-4 is a great accomplishment. Last one for you. There's a lot of talk about the attack coming into this day. Not a lot of goals over the last few games. Schwanier with a brilliant finish, and you get the penalty as well for Woobens. What did you see about the attack today? How happy were you with the way you performed?
The confidence is always there, no matter if we go a couple games without goals, or I think that's the standards that we've set in the league, right? In terms of what we can bring offensively, and when it comes to myself, I know Schwanier has all the confidence, and I know Woobs has all the confidence, and even the guys coming off the bench. But we know that attacking wise, as long as we get to keep the ball and we do what we do, we're going to get goals.
Listen, man, you were brilliant today. It's a fantastic achievement. Congratulations. We'll see you in Ottawa.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Tristan Burgess definitely stepped up when he needed. Who's in it for the ABBA soundtracks consistently from Tim Hortons Field? Yeah, we're all good with that. I'm good with that. Mitchell's not so convinced as us three, but yeah, we're all down for ABBA. Mitchell, that means I'm putting ABBA in the car for 6 hours and I'll drive to Ottawa this week. So you're going to have to deal with that one. AGR, what about Burgess? What did you think? Obviously, the way that he did Klomp proved to be monumental to get that second goal.
I mean, he's always had that moment of magic in him, maybe in big games as well. And yeah, that you could sense something building in that moment. It was really that 1-0. You felt like whoever got that next goal would really win and take control of the game. And you're just kind of waiting. Cavalry, it felt like they were building towards something. I mean, Tommy Wheeldon Jr. kind of spoke about it after. It felt like they were building towards something. And then Borja just came out of nowhere, and it was such a brilliant bit of deception, the way he opened up his hips, got Klump to commit, and then slid the ball through. And then from there, you just felt like it was going to be a goal or something, and then the penalty was a fair result. So, I mean, credit to Borges. I feel like one thing that's maybe a bit understated is how he's evolved his game, because, yeah, he might not be getting the 11, 12 goals he got in that first year. He was so just explosive, and maybe the secret wasn't out on what he can do in front of goal. But I just feel like the more I watch him, he's really improved a lot of the little areas of this game, and maybe that's something that going to Belgium taught him. Like, okay, you have to be really good at those sort of details throughout 90 minutes if you want to be a winger, if you want to be an attacker in the modern game at big clubs. You can't just be a guy who scores goals and not much else. And that's the sort of moments that I think will really impress a coach.
It's a really good point. There's more of assurance about Borges, I feel like, this year too. Like, he just feels like he doesn't seem like a guy who's got a chip on his shoulders, trying to prove people wrong, always going out of the way. If you need to take him off after 75 minutes, there's no theatrics or any drama. Okay, I did my job, but sometimes games go well, sometimes they don't. I feel like he's incredibly matured and got a lot more, maybe with experience and time, that he's become really that offensive leader. Another offensive player, Mitchell, was Woobens Passius. I mean, what more can we say about this kid? I mean, I think 10 games in a row without a goal to end the regular season, that could have weighed heavy. Charlie met with him in Calgary. He got the goal in that game. Mm-hmm. And then we have to talk about the penalty. You know me, I love my penalty kicks. And, I have to say, when they got the penalty, I wondered, I thought it would be him, but I wondered. There's a lot of other players who could have stepped up and took that ball. We've seen Crutzen take penalties. We've seen Borges. We've seen others. But the kid takes it. I was behind the goal, so I can speak about the ferocity of the boot. Carducci's a class keeper. He might win goalkeeper of the year this week. How good of a penalty was that, Mitch? And obviously it proved to be a game winner.
Yeah, you love the confidence from him as well, because they were all there. Crutzen was looking. He would have taken the ball, I think, if it was handed to him, but there was no way Woobens was giving that ball up, and that's what you love from a young striker. And there's so many people in this game of ours who will say the penalty kick is an easy moment but for a young player like that, especially against a guy like Marco Carducci, who saved a penalty here in a big game before at Tim Hortons Field, he would have had all the confidence in the world to stop that. And Woobens steps up, takes the big moment, and is now Forge's all-time leading scorer in playoff matches, which is kind of crazy for a player of his age. And, when you're looking for players in for young players as well, like their ability to step up in these games and elevate their level, like that's maybe, Pacius is almost emblematic of what we've seen from Forge from this playoff run, where yes, they weren't so great over the last 11 games, but the second the games get incredibly important, they've stepped up and taken their game to another level, and Pacius is up there with those players.
Yeah, good point. Again, I'll let you guys open another part. We're going to hear from Woodmans in a second. The other thing too is, they've got Campbell and they've got Hamilton, and the last thing they needed was to try and find a way in playoff football where you've got 3 games to go, oh, maybe this will work, maybe that'll work. Let's try something else, right, Charlie? Because they needed somebody to just own it, right? In this moment, you just got to play, and someone's got to own that, and that's why that goal in that first game that you were at was just so important for Woodmans. Oh,
absolutely, yeah, and I think, to your point, that's what they tried to do a month and a half, 2 months ago. Try and find other combinations with these other players that maybe haven't found that rhythm yet. Tried to get Jordan Hamilton going or Terran Campbell, players that weren't there last year. It became apparent quickly that they were running out of time to get that to work. And when push comes to shove with this team, this is the front 3 that you have to go with at this time. It's the one that's been the most effective. The players that have shown you the most, right? For Bobby Smirniotis, not just this year, but last year and so on. So I think that's what it came down to. And these are the guys that have shown the most evidence that you can trust them in the big moments.
Yeah, talking about depth, Emery Welshman, was in his civvies. He didn't make the squad. It just goes to show. I mean, Noah Jensen, another one. It's just a remarkable amount of depth going on in that club. All right, let's go back to Tim Hortons Field. Here's my chat with Woodmans.
Joined by Woodmans Pacius, who gets the winning goal. How does this feel? You just celebrated with your teammates and the fans. This was an enormous game.
It's been incredible. I still can't believe it. I don't have the words, but again, I want to thank God. It's always like that. I have to thank God because it's crazy feelings. I'm really proud of the team.
Amen, brother. Take us through your feelings. Borges wins a penalty. They look to you to take it. They've had different takers of penalties this year. What are your thoughts at that moment to try and beat Marco Carducci?
We trained this in training, and I knew that if I can do exactly the same thing that I'm doing in training, I could score. So just to stay calm, not too nervous, and to have everyone having their faith in me, I feel pretty good about it.
It was a brilliant penalty to obviously, beat a great goalkeeper in Marco Carducci. You're off to a 4th final in 4 years. What does that say about this group?
It's crazy. You can see it. We're a real group, and we always want to go further possible, and to be able to go to the final again this year, it's incredible.
Looking forward to going to Ottawa?
Yeah, of course. We'll
see you there. Thanks, Rubens. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, just a great kid too, and many people would say perhaps the next good young Canadian Premier League player who's going to get a move as well. But every credit to him. All right, guys, if you've not opened your second pack of stickers, do so now. We're going to come right back after this, and we're going to see if you can come up with your best stickers and your best team, and maybe Charlie might get some luck again for the second one. So that would be pretty good. Now, if Charlie got some more stickers last week, I think we didn't get a vote, but you won. I think you get the best stickers.
Oh, easily. We didn't need to vote.
We'll concede that. I think Charlie won.
Exactly. It was like winning 4-0, right? Away or from home or at home.
Yeah. Easy.
It's a good
dominant. I sack my manager. Yeah,
exactly. You know it. Inside jokes, guys. I'm sure you've got them. With more on this, here's Bobby Smirniotis after the match.
It's one thing we talk about at the beginning of the year. Everyone says they want to win a championship. We know in sports it's not an easy thing to do. You play your whole life. You can coach your whole life and not be part of it. But as a club, it's the least that we want. We want to be able to compete for trophies in any competition that we're in. We've shown that in the past, and last year with really trying to make a run at CONCACAF. And then you come to this season, and this is what we have ahead of us. So I think it's the least we ask of ourselves as a club. And now you go into a one game, and anything can happen in those. We've been in a lot of these very important games in different competitions, and obviously in the Canadian Premier League, it's a 4th visit to the finals, and hopefully we can add a friend to those other trophies that are sitting inside there.
I mentioned it briefly on the broadcast, and I'll mention it again here. The last 4 years since 2019, that's 32 knockout games that Forge have played, either in Canadian Championship, CPL playoffs, or CONCACAF play. 32. Toronto FC, for comparison, since 2019, 23. CF Montreal played their 22nd game yesterday. Cavalry 17, and nobody else is even close. AGR, I think we try and give as much love to Canadian soccer as we can. We all play a big role. But is it something to be said that maybe this Forge's run is still an underrated soccer story in this country?
Might have to be, just because, when you put it together, it just feels like I mean, it feels like it's almost flown under the radar how many big games they play. Like, it's just, I guess that was something maybe if we're talking takeaways I had yesterday, I was thinking like they're going to another final. Like, it's just another big game. And what's now they're at a point where big games are just another day. Like a semifinal is, from some clubs, it would be the pinnacle. It's the mountain. And for them, just talking to them, it felt like they just played game number 3 of the regular season and they're not quite at what they want to be at. So I think it's phenomenal to see that they've played in Canadian Championship finals. They've gone whispers away of a CONCACAF League final. They played against Mexican Giants in Champions League. They've played on every CPL final, no matter, every team's gone to the same playoff, quote unquote, lottery, if you want to call it, and they've come out each time. That's a skill. That's a credit to just the continuity that they've brought, and it's been fantastic to see the development as well as these players and what Bobby Spear Notice has had to done. He's certainly maybe a name that doesn't get enough recognition for what he's been able to build over at Forge.
Yeah, 4 CPL finals in 4 years against 4 different opponents, and it'll be in 4 different stadiums. That's a remarkable story. We're going to get into the Cavalry side because I still think that's a big story as well. I'm fascinated to hear what Mitchell thinks about the way they play. But let's get some stickers. Charlie, you're up. Let's go through some of your stickers. You got your 2 packs opened here. Let's figure out.
Yeah, I do. I'm doing okay, I think. We'll see.
Okay.
So I've got Denzel Dumfries to start from the Netherlands.
Yeah,
that's not a bad little player. Nemanja Maximovic. Here's he, Getafe, I think.
Okay.
Andreas Christensen. I like him.
Got some good defenders here.
There's a lot. I always seem to get defenders. This pack has Alan Franco. I think he plays for Atlanta still.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. And then Ecuadorian goalkeeper Hernan Galindez.
Okay. So, you need a goalie? Okay. He might be okay there. What about your second pack? You got any strikers?
Do the second one here. Okay. Let's take a look. I've got Miki Yamane from Japan.
Okay.
Okay.
Love that Japan kit, by the way.
That's a class kit. I like that. Yeah. And even the badge is really cool.
Yeah.
I've got Haris Seferovic, so that's a striker for me.
Oh, there you go. He can bang.
That's a good one. He's going in my team probably.
Yeah.
Casemiro.
Okay.
I'll take that. We take that. Aston Villa player Jan Bednarek.
Hey, he's alive.
There we go. He exists. That's what he looks like. Good to know.
Played 45 minutes in Steven Gerrard's last game. So
yep, and he was arguably the only good player on the pitch. And I've got a stadium, which I guess I'll need somewhere to play. So
yeah, there you go. You don't need any more players with that 5-a-side team you're going to put together by the end. I
think I'll be fine. That's a pretty good team, I think.
Mitchell, can you beat this? What you got?
Guess what? I got a bunch of keepers, guys. But I got some good ones this week, which helps as well.
Double keeper 5-a-side.
Yeah, exactly. No. We'll stick to one this week. We do have Morera, the Costa Rican keeper. He's probably not making my side because I also have Edouard Mendy.
Nice.
Or I can go with probably my pick, Ederson.
Oh, wow.
From Brazil. So
put him in midfield, mate.
Yeah. Not bad. I also have Tomiyasu.
Okay.
Which will add some quality in defense, and Jesus Ferreira up top,
nice.
In the US. So not bad there. That's quite a pack, actually, to be honest.
3 goalies in a pack.
Yeah, pretty good.
You're a goalie whisperer, mate.
I don't know.
I love it. Yeah.
Don't mind it. Two South Koreans as well to add. Not sure if either of them will make my squad, but
yeah.
And we've got Christian Nogard of Denmark.
Yeah.
And then we'll finish up with Rambo.
Oh, nice.
So yeah. There's some quality in there. I think I can make a decent side.
I like that. Nogard's good too. I like Denmark in this World Cup, but we'll get to that maybe next month. AGR, what have you got for us?
Well, I've got quite the packs here, so we'll see why in a second. But I'll start with Milos Velkovic, defender. I suppose you can never have too many defenders. The Argentine Papu Gomez. Always thought he's underrated from his time at Atalanta. Bit of English flavor, Mason Mount. Always a player of hot topic on Twitter from when I wake up in the morning on those Premier League days. We got a Poland team. And then I'm going to save the last player from this pack, and you'll see why in a second, because I'll go to the other pack.
Oh, no. I don't like this.
I got a Tajon Buchanan teammate, Andreas Skov Olsen, decent winger, wingback. We got Golden Boy, or could have been a Golden
man.
Boy if it wasn't for his knees. Ansu Fati. Got an England crest, just good for my sticker book. Doesn't mean much. And then this one's just, I love this one. A blue Ismail Assar. He's so underrated.
That's
Came
class.
through my beloved Rennes and has been tearing up England.
Class.
But it's okay. So this is the 5th player, right? In
Yeah.
the pack. Look what I packed twice.
You're
No
joking.
What?
2 Lionel Messi's.
I think
wish
I
was
think you
joking.
should be able to use both, to be honest.
You
I got
Buy a
2
lottery ticket,
Lionel
man.
Messi's.
Yeah.
I'm considering when I leave the door, I might just drop $20 in the lottery ticket. I'm dumbfounded that I pulled one Messi and like my eyes lit up, and then I open the next pack and I see a Lionel Messi.
That's
Yes.
brilliant.
Go times 2.
I
Now
love
we
it.
all have to be nice to AGR because one of us will hopefully get that Messi, but only whoever's nicest to him over the next couple of weeks.
I mean,
I'm
we haven't
open
even
offers
seen,
over the
we got to
next-
welcome Benedict and the team to open his pack later on in the show. But what I love about it is that like Benedict doesn't matter how much he cheats, he can't beat you.
No, no chance.
If I'm allowed 2 Messi's.
You're allowed 2 Messi's. Stick them in.
If I'm
I love
allowed,
it.
then I'll give one. I'll give one to the best offer for an hour.
There you go. Wow, 2 Messis. I love that. Great stuff, boys. Let's put a bow on this game before we get to our guests this week, and of course, talk about what's going to be a massive opponent in the final for Forge. But let's go back and put a bow on this one. Let's talk about the visitors. Let's hear from the visiting head coach at Tim Hortons Field. Here's Tommy Whelan Jr.
I thought our defensive shape first half, very good. Didn't really register too many chances, and we were going to be patient when we had our moments. And then going into half time, you got one way of looking at things, and the 2 sendings off changed that. We had a game plan coming out in the second half, and it just unfortunately they struck first, and then when they struck right afterwards with the PK, it then gave us a bit of a mountain to climb. But credit to the lads, we made a game of it near the end, and made it interesting.
There's lots of things to get from this. Ultimately, over 180 minutes, Mitchell. I think they had a man advantage for 4 of them. It certainly wasn't long enough. Did they play well enough in the game for you to get through?
I don't think they did. And for me, the issue was they just weren't able to get their best players on the ball nearly enough. There was some good progression from defense to midfield, but even that was a weak link at times in terms of their passing ability. But Joe Mason had 10 touches in this match up top. That is a major concern when that is your key goal scorer. Ali Musi only had 36 as well. So I think that was the big concern. They just weren't able to. Tommy called it making the ball stick, but to get it up to their key forward players. So I think that was the biggest concern. And another year where maybe some of these guys, these key cavalry, star players, they haven't done enough in these big matches.
Yeah, look, I think I called it a crushing loss on One Soccer's post-game show for them, because I think it is. I think last year they said, and I was there, they got beat by Pacific and the play to the whistle and the ball went out and it was close to going out. Sorry, it didn't go out, and it took them a long time to get over this. This one could be worse, Charlie, because again, they play the 2 legs, they go toe to toe with Forge. Again, it's just a 1-goal deficit. They're close, but they just don't get over the line. And I think what the hardest thing is in this, people can blame, I don't know whether you want to blame a referee, whether you want to blame David Norman Jr., whether you want to blame the atmosphere, whatever it is. But for 4 minutes, they had Forge on the ropes. They'd lost their captain. They'd lost their skipper. He got sent off. And they're about to get to halftime at 0-0 in a game with all the pressure on Forge, with Becker off and in a man advantage for 45 minutes. And then Norman pushes like that. Gives the referee another opportunity to bring a yellow card out. And like that, the air goes out the balloon, Charlie. And I think at that moment, if Cavalry could go back to any moment at all in any of those games, in any of those moments in those games, that's the moment. No, don't do that. Let's get to halftime and let's keep our foot on the throat, because that would be the moment, I think.
Yeah, it's just that little bit of composure, because that, again, that moment, that Kyle Becker red card was a lifeline to them, because I think Forge, at least from the bits and pieces I could see with kind of one eye on the game while also working after the other game.
We're going to get to your game in a minute. Don't worry.
Forge were the better team in that first half.
Yeah,
it seemed.
That's fair.
Like at home, yes, the pressure is more on the home team in a game like this, but they have kind of shown over the years that they maybe handle that a little bit better than Cavalry do, and that's why Forge have been to 4 finals and Cavalry have been to 1. But it just was kind of the moment in the game where I don't think that I'm in a place where I would like blame individual composure. I'm not blaming David Norman Jr. by any stretch. But it is a case of when it does happen that close before halftime. Yes, you play it out and see if you can hit them immediately when they're completely deflated. But number one is just make sure that this situation is maintained to halftime, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can go into the locker room and be like, look, this is the 45 minutes that we need. Like, things are setting up well for us. We just need to make sure that we keep that calm and, see that through, because there was a clear path to them at that point to win this tie. But then, things kind of got out of hand, and from there, Forge just kind of composed themselves more quickly. Maybe they kind of found their rhythm a little more quickly, while Cavalry maybe had moments that were shakier. And I think that ultimately made the difference.
Yeah. Last word to you, HR, before you let you and Mitch go. What do you make of Cavalry? I think there's many of us who subscribe to the theory that sometimes you got to learn how to lose before you learn how to win in the game. You see in many sports, many examples, you learn, you lose, you suffer, then you go. And many people thought this maybe be Cavalry's year. Maybe it becomes again next year, but it's a long time to wait, and it's a difficult pill for them to swallow.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like ultimately they should probably stay the course. I do think a winningness over the fact that they are the winningest team over the regular season shouldn't be thrown out the window because of a couple playoff games. I think that, on the other hand, is reckless. But I do think there are maybe moments of, do they maybe overthink the big games? That could be a question asked. And that's the sort of lessons you learn. I think of this game in particular. The one thing I noted was it felt weird that it went from a 3-4-3 that works so solidly at home to a back four with two unnatural fullbacks, especially one in Norman Jr. gets slotted in. If you're going to slot in Norman Jr., why not play more as a left-sided center back? Why not keep the same midfield format? Those sorts of changes can make a big difference. And I think maybe that'll be something for Cavalry to look at, because in terms of a team like Forge, if you're going to look across the hall at what they've done, for them, it's been consistency. It's them. You kind of know almost next week what they're going to do. They kind of want to stamp out their identity. They're going to play three men in the midfield. They're going to try to get Ottawa to move around that way. Whereas with Cavalry, while that tactical flexibility helps, I'm always open for a team with tactical flexibility. I do think it was just so strange they had a recipe for success from the first leg in their hands, and they kind of threw that away. And in the end, that's the sort of margins that can make a big difference. So I think for Cavalry, you got to stay the course, but find a way to adjust in those moments.
Yeah, a lot of what ifs and maybes, right? Again, what if Sergio Camargo was fit and more healthier this season? What if Maya Bevan could have played? Could he have played more with Mason? I think they need to get multiple goal-scoring threats on the pitch more than just that number 9, as you alluded to. When you take Mason out the game, what other teams have, ultimately Ottawa and particularly Forge, is they've got those killers in the box in wide areas who can get goals. And Forge don't have a lot. Like, Escalante is a terrific player. They've got a lot of good players on the pitch, but they don't have a lot of goals from midfield. They don't have a lot of other goals. But it has to be said, success comes in different forms, right? They sold Latori. They sold Peppel this season. Two big players who, if they were on the pitch yesterday, could have made a big difference. And so that's a success for the team and a success for the Canadian Premier League. But I'm sure Cavalry fans at home are still, much like Pacific, when we're going to get on to our next guest, they're still thinking, we wish they were on the pitch. But this is a league we're in. You judge success in different ways. But very difficult for them to swallow this one. All right, HR and Mitch, we appreciate you guys. I'll let you go off and pick your 5-a-side teams, take a picture of them, send them to Benedict. We appreciate you guys. Thanks again. That was great. Charlie, I think you might get beat by the two Messis this week, just going to say.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be that close. It's tough.
But Benedict's next, and you never know. He might be going through 25 packs right now and just pulling out like 5 Canadian players to win the vote or something. All right, coming up next, we're going to get into the next game. Obviously, a big game that obviously Benedict and particularly Charlie was all over. But our next guest joined me earlier today, live from Norway. And that's right, I had the opportunity to chat with the 2022 Golden Boot winner himself. Here is my chat with Alejandro Diaz. Delighted to be joined by Alejandro Diaz live from Norway. Alex, great to see you, my man. How's things and how's life for family in Norway?
Hi, Christian. Nice to see you too. Thank you. And great. Things are going great. Last game wasn't the best for us, and we couldn't make it to playoffs. But hopefully we end up with a win. We go to the off season and prepare for the next year, so we have more chances to fight for the promotion. That's the goal. So yeah, and well, family is doing great right now. I came here to Norway alone because my wife stayed in Canada because we're expecting a baby. So I'm coming back for that next week. So excited about that, and yeah, I just want to be there with her and see our baby.
Yeah, we can't wait to welcome you back. We're doing this interview obviously right now because it's been awards season here at the Canadian Premier League. We're going to get more into your action in Norway in a second, but you are officially crowned the Golden Boot winner of the 2022 Canadian Premier League. 13 goals in 18 games. You got on a real roll there before you left us and obviously went on to Norway, which is obviously you've been firing the goals in there as well. 5 in 10 games. It's been a terrific year for you, but how special was that time for you at Pacific, and how special is it to win the Golden Boot?
Well, it was amazing journey for me at Pacific. I always have to say thank you to Pacific. First of all, by trusting me in bringing me to the CPL and also to the CPL. And since day one has been an amazing trip for me, and like personally and in my job that it's playing football has been amazing. And yeah, like the last tournament I did a great performance, I think, and it's all thanks to my teammates. So yeah, it was 13 goals and another 3 in the CONCACAF, so it was an exciting tournament for me. I think it's has been the best year for me personally. And well, excited. Then the opportunity of Norway came, and also it was amazing. I came here. I started with a goal, so that was important for my confidence here. And well, yeah. Then it came a hat trick, so it was again an amazing game and feeling for me. So yeah, just super happy about this year.
I love it. Like all great goal scorers, you count those goals in every competition. You have to. I love that. Of course, 13 and 18 an hour in the CPL, but of course, a magnificent hat trick in CONCACAF. You mentioned it's been the best season for you statistically, obviously, with all those goals. But how have you evaluated your own game? How have you become a better player, Alex, in 2022?
Well, the CPL in Pacific gave me the chance to come here and to develop me as a player. Honestly, I didn't have like that opportunity in Mexico. That I was missing that chance to play, to get some goals and to get confidence to start scoring more and more goals. So I think I found that in CPL, and as I said, I'm really thankful for that. And also, like year by year, I've noticed I've been working hard, also training more, recovering better, also watching lots of videos. So I have studying the opponents. So I think that helped a lot. And yeah, well, I think I capitalized that from the studying to the field. So I think that worked really good.
Fascinating stuff. Your one-touch finishing has been exemplary. It's been so good, man, this season. Talk to me a little bit about FC Sogndal. Obviously, you're in Norway now. You mentioned you just lost the last game, a bit of a heartbreaker 2-1 on the weekend, just to avoid getting to the playoffs. What's it like? What's the systems like there? What's the standard like? How have you adapted? I mean, 5 goals in 10 games, you've clearly adapted well, but what's it like playing in Norway compared to Canada?
Well, I can say a little bit like here in Norway is a little bit more tactical. Like I wouldn't say like struggling, but yeah, like I have to be more focused on the tactical part of the game. I think that's the most like the biggest difference from CPL to here to Norway. But the level, I think it's same. Like also here maybe it's a little bit faster because they wet the pitch all the games, so the ball runs way more fast than maybe in CPL, that sometimes the pitch wasn't wet. But I think I've been adapting so far really good. Hopefully the next year gets better. But yeah, I'm super happy about this great opportunity. I honestly, I wasn't expecting at the middle of the season. But well, this is football, and yeah,
it has, yeah. And Tor Andre Flo is your coach, no? Which is a legendary striker. Obviously, played for many years in the Premier League and World Cups for Norway as well. What's it like to tap into a mind like that as a striker who played a similar position as you?
Well, for me, it's amazing. As you said, he was a top striker from for Norway. Played at Chelsea, so yeah, it's been amazing. During trainings, we always do, after every session we do finishing, and he's for sure the coach of the finishing, and all the tips that he gives us, and it's been amazing. Like, he was an amazing header. I also like to go and head the ball, so all the tips that he has given to me, I appreciate them a lot, and it's really good to have him every day, so I can learn from him. And yeah, like, it's amazing to be with him.
Great stuff. A couple more with you, Alex. We're obviously talking in the build-up now to the final. Your former team just got knocked out in Ottawa on the weekend by Atlético Ottawa over 2 legs by 3-1. I'm sure many people have said that they missed you badly. How hard was it to watch that? And what are you looking forward to in the final this weekend between Atlético Ottawa and Forge, 2 teams you know very well?
Yeah, well, I'm honestly, I'm really sad about the game yesterday. I was really expecting Pacific to win that for sure, but it was a really tough game. I think Pacific did really good. They dominated almost all the games, so that was good. They couldn't finish the chances. They had a few of them, but well, this is football. Ottawa has been playing amazing all the season. That's why they're at the final right now. And yeah, for the final, I think it's gonna be a great final again. Forge making their 4th final consecutive. So I think it's gonna be great. Ottawa has been playing amazing, so I think it will be really fun and interesting final to watch.
Yeah, they're a tough team to break down, Atletico. You've scored against them, though. Obviously, sometimes you just got to take your chances. No, I think the chances come very quickly, and you've got to take them. Is that what you learned playing those guys?
Yeah, well, this is football. You gotta take the chances you have, and well, unfortunately for Pacific, they couldn't last game. But well, it was also an amazing season for Pacific too, and I feel super proud about Pacific and for being part of that. And yeah, for sure. The final in Sunday is gonna be the one who finished their chances. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
You mentioned how proud you are. It was a terrific year, both individually and collectively. I know you made a big difference for FC Sogndal in Norway already. You made a big difference to Pacific. They went to, obviously they won the final last year with you there last year. Obviously the squad, they went to the CONCACAF League this year. They accomplished so much there. You got a hat trick. I can't congratulate you enough. I know that they missed you a lot this year. They'll look to replace you, but forever you'll be known as being, the major goal scorer and the Golden Boot winner in 2022 as well for the Canadian Premier League. Alex, good luck this weekend in your final game. We'll see you back in Canada very soon. Thanks again for this.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Just a class act, Alejandro Diaz, and great to see him performing so well in Norway. Named today as one of the 10 finalists for Players Player of the Year, an inaugural award that we've introduced to the Canadian Premier League. There's some of the names that you can see on the screen there if you're listening on the podcast. Alex Ashnodi Jonsson, Manny Aparicio, Moba Booley, Ollie Bassett, Kyle Becker, Alejandro Diaz, Ali Musi, Wubens Passius, Sean Rea, and Balu Tabla, the top 10 vote getters from 180 players across the Canadian Premier League who were asked to cast their vote of any of the players in the top 3 of their own ballots. You'll notice 2 players on there from Atlético Ottawa. That's right, Mr. Bassett and Mr. Tabla. We'll go back to Ottawa now and recap a successful match again at the regular season home champions, TD Place.
Bullet to take. Swinger back post, headed on!
is Pacific who take the lead. Opportunity finds Malcolm Shaw. Top of the block, Shaw to his left foot, strikes it! And it's a goal for Ottawa!
What a finish that was.
Atlético Ottawa have clinched their first ever Canadian Premier League final match.
Fantastic scenes there. Charlie was in the middle of the huddle, I think, at one point. You know, all for purposes of content. You had your camera. You weren't celebrating, but you had your camera going in there. We're going to bring Benedict in a second. We're going to roll some highlights, but don't roll highlights yet. Charlie, your overall thoughts on another trip to Ottawa and another successful day for the home team, Athletic?
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying it was hard not to be caught up in the huddle because it was just an enormous mob of people. It was just an incredible kind of sight to see on that pitch, really throughout the whole game, but especially kind of the second half when Malcolm Shaw scores that goal to sort of you feel kind of the collective sigh, and then everybody starts going crazy. And then when the final whistle goes, that place was just absolutely mental. It was just amazing, like the kind of the power of that crowd that I was standing like right on pitch side the whole match, and you could feel kind of the energy behind you. You look around and it's kind of a jarring feeling to be like, this is a CPL game that I'm at here, and this is the kind of atmosphere that I'm seeing for a playoff game. It was just a remarkable place to be, a remarkable experience. I think the crowd was announced at something about just over 8,000 people, which is incredible, and just an appetizer, I think, for what's to come next Sunday as well, which is also important. So, but the game itself as well didn't disappoint, right? I think we'll get into it in more detail, but it was just a fun, clearly kind of playoff tie where both teams really left it all out there.
Yeah, they certainly did, and Pacific played their role in that. I did TSN radio today, as I often do in Ottawa, and I think they said 8,004 was the crowd, and we were talking about, you know, the emotion and that. But what we don't know about that number is how many new fans were there, and there will have been a number of new fans, and then they won't be new fans anymore because they'll be bringing other new fans for the final this weekend, and that's so important. You know, they're you know, you can talk about it, but this club is they're not just playing for themselves, they're captivating a city at the moment, and they're bringing more and more supporters there. You know, we get so many here in the chat, and they're loyal coming to our show, and we love them for it, but they're bringing new fans to the stadium as well.
Yeah.
And when you go to a stadium and the game means something, and you go to a stadium and it's a party, and you go to a stadium and your team performs and they win or they progress, you're going to come back. It's contagious. That's what sports are about. They're bringing those emotions and those reference points and memories that will stick with you for a long time. Benedict Rose has stuck with us for a long time, 47 minutes before we got back him into the show. Benedict, come on in, mate. Great to see you. You were on this show as well, and you were on this game with Charlie. Your overall impressions as we roll the highlights here. Maybe we should start with giving some Pacific some love here, because it ended up being an Ottawa party, but for about an hour, the visitors from Van Isle played a big role in this game.
Yeah, I know a lot of the talk, last week we talked about on the show is it would be a miracle if Pacific pulled this off, and we knew they had to score the first goal probably in this game, or if Ottawa scored one, they might be out of it. And if you're watching on YouTube here, they do score. The Pacific ended up scoring the first goal with the header from Thomas Mayer-Giguère. So that was a crucial goal. It gave him a chance, and Pacific throughout the entire first half really just and into the start of the second half looked. Kind of thought maybe they might just do it. They were consistent. They were attacking. They had many chances. Benedict Ingham, as you can see, was fantastic in the game. He's the player of the match for 2 matches in a row now in the playoffs, and really kind of at some points in the first half anyway saved Ottawa.
Charlie, what impressed you about the visitors from the get-go?
I think it was just the aggression again. Last week on the show, obviously we did talk about whether it would be a miracle for Pacific to equalize this tie or to get through. And I think kind of from kickoff, but especially obviously when they scored, it no longer by any means felt like that. I mean, Pacific were much better, I think, across the board in this game than they were in the first leg, and they themselves would probably admit that. Just there is much more movement in the attacking third from them, which I think was important. Marco Bustos shifting with Aparicio, just trying to create spaces or pull those Ottawa defenders out of position a little bit more, because again, last week it was a little bit more static, and Ottawa was a little bit safer to stay in their lines and to not step out. And then really all Pacific was able to do is lump those crosses into the box that really went nowhere. But in this game, there was just a lot more kind of quicker passing, just players making those runs and, often decoy runs, just trying to get somebody to commit, just testing them, probing that defense, seeing which players might be more willing to step out of position or to try and press you. And it worked in many senses for them. I think Pacific really got into the box much more frequently. They had 27 shots in this game, which is an absurd amount.
It's one of the highest totals ever, I think.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Yeah.
And I think really Pacific will come away from this game. I mean, first of all, there's players that will feel like there are chances that fell for them that they'll be kicking themselves about for months, maybe years, because it's eliminated them from the season. But really the sense I got from all of the Pacific staff and players that I spoke to after the match was it was there for them in this game, right? It was right there for them, and it could have happened. It just, I don't know if it was that last bit of sharpness that they needed, or just a couple of those balls just maybe missed their mark a little bit. And obviously credit is absolutely due to Nathan Ingham as well for stopping the ball from the line a couple of times. But again, Pacific really did themselves proud, left absolutely everything they had out there on this pitch, and definitely made Atlético Ottawa sweat for a lot of this game. Yeah,
Pacific fans, and so many of you join us in the chat. They went home last Saturday in leg one going, that second goal for that second leg is a killer.
Yeah.
And that's what it proved to be. If they'd have gone home 1-0 loss, it wouldn't have been great, but you're always in the tie. But that 2-0 goal, that vote for Hoven 94th minute was a massive momentum killer. And in the end, it proved a mountain too tall for them to navigate. Let's hear from James Merriman, their head coach, before we talk Athletic.
It's difficult because we had a lot of transition, and we're doing a lot of things that we say we want to do. We moved, Lucas McNaughton and Caden Chung to Toronto FC, and we moved Diaz to Europe, and there was other players as well. But and we still, that expectation was there from minute one. The expectation to repeat as champions, and the first half of the season you could feel it every time we played a match. The team that was coming to play us was coming to play the champions, and something that we had to sustain and stay consistent with in terms of our mentality. So it wasn't easy. It's been a challenge, but the core group of players that we have that are going to be returning and coming back, we've learned a lot. We're going to continue to grow as a club. I think we're in a great place with the core group that we have returning as well for next season. So now we have to make decisions on the future, but I think overall we should be happy with what we were able to do, considering how much transition there was.
Classy as ever, and I think very poignant. James, he always gives you the honest truth. And I think that's a pretty good way of looking into it. No excuses. I mean, ultimately, Diaz, we just had him on the show. Imagine Diaz playing in that game. It's similar to what we said about Cavalry earlier with letting go of Peppel and Laturi, just stronger if they're on the team. McNaughton and Chung, by the way, I saw him yesterday at Tim Hortons Field. There's this whole Toronto FC back four, like Richie Larea and Chung and Henry and McNaughton just hanging out there with us. So that was good to see. Let's talk Malcolm Shaw. We're going to hear from him in a second, Benedict, but I thought he was terrific as he came on as a substitute in that first game. The second game, he makes a massive difference. Pardon the pun. And is this guy now a player that Carlos Gonzalez has to think about starting in the final? And he's gone for Brian Wright, but Shaw, who got injured, was out for a long period of about 8 games in the regular season, is still probably their main man going forward. And I think if you're an Atleti fan, you let us know in the chat, I think you probably want him on the pitch at the start in the final, no?
Yeah, I think there's 2 ways of looking at it. The first way is obviously he's the man in form at the moment. He scored the goal. He's the one you want on the pitch to do exactly that in the final. At the same time, he has also looked very effective in this sort of super sub role at the same time. So it'd be interesting to see what Carlos Gonzalez does. I do agree that he should be on the pitch, I think, to start this one. And Brian Wright has done a fantastic job as well this season. But I think Malcolm Shaw, like you said, has been the main man for really 3 seasons now. And when he's healthy and when he's fit and fiery.
What do you think, Charlie? What do you think on Shaw? Benedict, you can start opening your stickers, mate. What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, it's tough because clearly, Carlos Gonzalez seems to value the idea of having Malcolm Shaw come into a game and change things up and just be a bit of a different option. But you just look at the two halves Atletico Ottawa played. This first half, Brian Wright, I think it's 18 touches, 1 touch in the box, 1 shot.
Right.
Shaw has 22 touches, 3 touches in the box, 3 shots. But he just seemed to be stretching things a little bit more. And obviously that's partly down to the fact that Pacific is throwing the kitchen sink at them at that point in the second half.
Yeah.
They're getting higher up the pitch, and there's going to be more of that space. And I think that's part of the reason that Gonzalez put him in at halftime, because he knows that the second half is where Pacific will start to open up a little bit more, because it's desperation time. And he thinks that Shaw is probably the better transitional player in that moment, the player who can maybe stretch things out and get in behind that. But I think at this point, when you go into a final, you maybe do just have to play the hot hand, and Shaw is the player that scored a huge goal for them in that moment and has been more effective at the right times for them. He's scored some of the biggest goals in his club history. Again, as I've said, he scored in their first ever win, and he's been an important player for them. So I think the edge to me might, if Brian Wright is a player that I'm not sure if Brian Wright is the same kind of player that can come into a game like Shaw does and make the same impact.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's this whole modern day finishers over starters thought. It's a substitute. You have different roles and positions, right? So great point by both of you. I love Wright. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the CPL. I thought he's been brilliant the last month.
Mm-hmm.
I just think you might get one chance to win a final. You might get one chance. You might get one chance, and it might come in minute 1. But you get one chance. Who do you want that ball on to hit the boot? I wasn't sure if I'm Ottawa, but that's me. Let's hear from the man himself, the main man who scored the goal to start the party in Ottawa. Here's Malcolm Shaw with Charlie.
I'm here on the pitch with Atlético Ottawa hero today, Malcolm Shaw. You guys are going to a final. How does that sound?
It's fantastic. Just being here from the start and the progression of the club and just the year we've had, it's got cherry on top. It's all the hard work we've been putting in. It's just come to pay off, so it's really exciting.
Malcolm, I think you scored in this club's first ever win, and now you've scored a goal to get them into a final. What kind of set up for you? What did you see on that moment? What goes through your head when that ball hits the net?
Yeah, it was obviously it was a glorious moment. It's not just for me, but it's for this whole club, the fans, everything, all the work we put in. The first 2 years, the challenges we went through, and just to be here, it's for everyone. So it's just a great feeling.
This is a really tough game. I think a lot of credit's probably due to Pacific for them really making it competitive right to the end there. But what do you make of kind of your full team effort to defend and make sure that they didn't get past you?
Yeah, it took 11 guys and our bench to get the victory. Before the game we spoke and we mentioned that it's going to take everybody in the locker room to get the victory, and we did that. So,
Malcolm, just one last one. We're standing right in front of the dub here. It's a pretty special day here in Ottawa. Next weekend, probably going to be even more special for you guys, hosting a final here in TD Place. What's that going to be like?
It's going to be incomparable. It's going to be fantastic. These guys here, this is our 12th man, so credit to them, and we can't wait for next week.
Malcolm, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Great job, Charlie. Backstreet Boys, the choice of song in the background in TD Place. There you go, a little Backstreet Boys flavor. ABBA at Tim Hortons Field, Backstreet Boys at TD Place. Yeah, I'm all in for the music. Betty, let's have a look at. We get Carlos Gonzalez on the show in a second, but you got some good stickers there. You open 1 pack or 2?
I opened 2.
You open 2? All right, let's go. Let's see what you got. By the way, the other boys who have left the show have sent me their back. They've sent me their 5 already, and so you got a lot to compete with this. So,
well, I'll start Argentinian as well. I'll go Guido Rodriguez.
I like Guido Rodriguez. He's class.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Someone I don't know if he actually plays very much these days, but it's Rafael Varane.
just got hurt on the weekend.
Hassan Al Haydos from the host Qatar.
Oh, there you go. Captain. Yeah.
Got a Spurs player. Don't like that with Ivan Perisic.
Ew. Okay, he's a class player though.
He's a good player, but we don't like any Spurs players.
Congrats to your Hammers on the win today, buddy.
Good game. Someone who's scored against West Ham a few times, Edison Cavani.
My goodness, this is an unbelievable pack.
What is going on?
Is that an Edison Cavani red? What's the border parallel? That's a rare. That's a rare sticker,
dude.
Don't put that in you. You need to sleeve that up, Benny. You need to keep that one nice.
I might have to trade to AGR for one of his Messi's.
He would definitely do that to get a red Cavani.
Yeah, yours might be worth more.
Yeah. You might actually beat him again here. This is ridiculous.
Second pack isn't too bad either. Got Isana Laidouni from Tunisia.
Okay.
Not too familiar with him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Nicolas Otamendi from Argentina, another Argentinian. Got a lot of them tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
Devis Apasi from Cameroon. Not familiar with him either.
Yeah.
Here's another Argentinian, Angel Di Maria, one of the best.
Okay.
Benedict is challenging AGR's double Messi team.
Ben, you're getting torched in the chat here. People don't believe that you're not cheating again.
I'm sure. I'm not going to play goalkeeper, but Rui Patricio from Portugal is a pretty good one, or was back in the day anyway, and he's still the 10th player here.
Benedict, you have a remarkable ability to pull brilliant players
I swear
every
to you,
week.
I swear to you, I have not cheated one time.
You know what, buddy? I hand on heart now, truth honest, I believe you, but it's way better to rip you.
Yeah. It's good for the content.
It's way better.
Like last year when I slept through Alejandro Diaz's hat trick.
That's true. That's true.
Diaz reference.
AGR's five-a-side team is Mason Mount, Lionel Messi, Ismail Assar, Ansu Fati, and Lionel Messi. So you've got 1 minute to try and beat that. And in the meantime, let's listen to Carlos Gonzalez.
Typical second leg playoff game, lots of emotions, lots of intensity, lots of details, and we were capable to manage them at the end of the game. I think that Pacific did a great game today, that they came with the correct intensity. In the first half, they had an extra of intensity and activation than us. And the main thing was to equalize on the second half, and I think that we did it little by little through the game. They started to be a little bit more nervous. I don't know, but we started to equalize on those situations, and we knew that this scenario of game will appear in some moment. So we were prepared for it, and we know that we also had some solutions from the bench that could be painful for them. So in general, that's it. I'm happy because of the historical moment. I'm very proud of the players because they are competing really, really well. And now we have to start to think in next week. We don't have time, set our minds again and think in the things that we can improve.
As ever, turns his attention right to the next game. A reminder, Carlos Gonzalez, contender for Coach of the Year awards night, Friday at 7 o'clock, live from Ottawa. Catch that on the YouTube channels of One Soccer and the Canadian Premier League. We'll all be there. That's right. We're coming to Ottawa Friday, 7 o'clock, awards night. Coach of the Year, under 21 Player of the Year, Players Player of the Year, Player of the Year voted by the media, Goalkeeper of the Year, Defender of the Year, and of course, Golden Boot, which goes to Alejandro Diaz. I guess the final thought is this, gentlemen, and I know we've got an Ottawa-heavy crowd who stuck with us to this. Despite them playing at home, are they favorites, Atlético Ottawa? Because I would claim that I think Forge could be favorites. Forge have played 4 finals. They've had more experience. And I know that you can't really put stats together at the moment, but Atleti at home have only won 2 of their last 10 games. So their home form is not as good as their away form. What do you think? How are you going to rank this? I rank Forge as favorites slightly. Benedict, what about you?
I agree. I think the big game experience and they've won 4-0 in Ottawa this season, of course, as well. And I don't think they're overwhelming favorites. I think Ottawa, they like to play that defensive game where they can beat Forge and have beaten Forge this season. But I do think Forge are just marginally the favorites for this game.
Charlie?
Yeah, I think it's really close. I would probably agree with that. I think it's basically a coin flip, to be fair. I think Forge I would probably favor in the first half, but I think that if Ottawa can get it to halftime, still level at 0-0, then I would probably fancy them to find a goal somewhere in that second half and maybe take this, not dissimilarly to how Pacific won the final last season, I think. So for Forge, it's going to be about taking those chances if and when they fall. And then for Ottawa, it's going to be about making sure that they stick to what's worked for them all this year. I think that they didn't feel that they played to the best of their abilities in the second leg yesterday. So they're going to try and sharpen that up. They'll get Espejo back. We'll see if Drew Becky is available. He's got quite the shiner on his eye after that hit in the box. I saw him this morning, and it was still pretty puffed up, but we'll see. But aside from that, I think it will be basically a coin flip. I don't think I could pick one at this moment.
No, it's going to be tough. That's on the pitch. Off the pitch, what we know is there's going to be, 10,000 plus in the crowd. Forge are taking a ton. They've got their own section. We know what you can bring, Ottawa. It's going to be fantastic. We can't wait to come and see you. It's going to be a terrific festival of soccer all weekend. We can't thank you guys enough. I know there's so many of you here in the chat right now, particularly Ottawa fans. Aaron, Otto, see you all this weekend. Thomas is a York fan. I remember that guy. But, hopefully he'll come too. Come drive down to the 401. Come to watch the game. This is going to be fantastic. Eddie, great to see you. Love the passion. Thanks for everything you guys do for the Canadian Premier League. And we will see you on Sunday at 6 o'clock Eastern. Remember the game live on One Soccer. Before that, of course, we'll be in Ottawa ready on Friday night, 7 o'clock for the awards. Saturday, match day -1. All this week, both written and video. My all-star team here will be producing so much work, so hopefully you'll enjoy all of that as well. Atlético Ottawa against Forge Sunday to be the CPL champions of 2022. We end the show this week thinking about a man who lifted the trophy last year. He will not get to do that this year, but Jamar Dixon, who's had a wonderful career, an Ottawa guy, came back to Ottawa and in the end played his final game of a professional. Here's Charlie catching up with him at the end of this one. We thank you, Jamar. We congratulate you on a fantastic season and a fantastic career. We know more to come for you in this game. Congratulations on that. Thanks to Benedict. Thanks to Charlie. Thanks to AGR and, of course, Mitchell and, of course, everybody else for joining in, and Alejandro Diaz as well. So sit back, enjoy Jamar's chat with Charlie, and we'll see you in Ottawa.
I'm joined now by Jamar Dixon, captain of Pacific FC. Jamar, that's not how you wanted to see out this career, but it was a tremendous one. More than 10 years in the professional game. It's got to be a lot going through your mind right now.
Yeah, like you said, it's. You never want to finish this way, but it is what it is, right? You just gotta take it and roll with it. Some games go your way, some games don't. So. I'm grateful for the career I've had, and I'm happy with how the boys performed, and I wish them the best.
Before we touch on the bigger picture, just today, there's got to be a lot for you to be proud of as a member of this Pacific team. You guys definitely made it competitive right to the end.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make it difficult for the other team, but we also wanted just to score goals and put the pressure on them, and I thought that's exactly what we did in the first half. I thought we were dominant in the first half, but we know how Ottawa play, and we know they can get a chance out of nothing, right? And that's exactly what happened. So, again, if we put more of our chances away, it's a different story, but we didn't. So that's just how the game goes.
We're here in Ottawa. You're from Ottawa. You've played here before. I think you had some friends and family here to watch you. That has to have meant a lot as well, though.
No, the friends, family, they've been here from day one, right? Since I was a little kid, playing in Ottawa, to me going abroad, So I'm grateful for their support, and I'm so thankful for them.
I would guess it probably hasn't quite hit you yet that it's over.
Yeah, I think about it. I've already thought about it. I thought about it on the bench. But you still gotta enjoy the night. Just enjoy what the game has given to me. And just continue to just reminisce on the positive things. So it's not over yet. It's just a transition to something different.
You mentioned something different. I don't want to ask you to give away any specifics, but what's immediately coming up next for you? Just spend time with family?
Yeah, that's the next thing. Take some time, relax with the fams, regroup, and then see what's next in the future.
Absolutely. Well, Jamar, I can't thank you enough for doing this, and congratulations on a career.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.